3 minutes late. That's my bad, y'all. What is up? Happy Monday, everybody. Man, Tuesday. See, it's because I work from home on Monday. I tell you guys this all the time. Every time I work from home, it almost feels like I lose a day, even though I'm at home doing work. Happy Tuesday, everybody. July 8th, 2025, on a Tuesday. Welcome to Cozy Corner TV, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Kieran Smith. Call me Q, and we are on the corner. We on the corner. What's up, y'all? So, today, got a couple of live streams to react to. I got some reinforcements against this fly that I've been attempting to kill. Good thing I have good aim. Let's see if I catch it. But with that being said, I hope you guys are doing great thus far on this Tuesday. Give me a second, guys. See, that's why I can't be in here spraying. Because of that reason, and my wife's gonna be like, "Why would you do that?" But I can't. I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. Give me 1 second, guys. Say what's up in the chat as you come in. Hit that like button for me. Say where you are watching from. Oh man. So seems like the Epstein files are on fire today. So you guys know we're gonna take a look at that to some extent. We have to. We have to. We got Ben Shapiro's opinion on it and Candace Owens, so it's gonna be fun today. All right, I promise I'm gonna stop trying to kill the fly. My wife will be like, "Oh my God, focus." All right, give me one moment, guys. Let's see, where I put my spreadsheet. No. Alright, guys. My bad for the delay. Yeah, so I'm done playing with the flies. Alright, I'm going to be here during this live stream. Yeah, so happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm back. Let's focus. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 clips, 6 clips, including the Christian clip. So let's get right to it. As a advocate for mental health and wellness on the channel, I say this every day, but I want you guys to be grounded and regulated before you take this in, because news can be triggering. You can be in a good mood and you can hear something in the news and you're like, now I want to kill somebody. So yeah, I mean, that's really dysregulated, but it can happen. So be grounded and regulated. If you're not, come back later. If you are, welcome to the daily live stream. All right, first up on the menu, we got Mr. Bill O'Reilly. Shout out to Bill. Truth about the bill, far left reaction, and President Trump's stance on migrant workers. This is a clip that is over 21 minutes, so we will not be listening to this in its entirety. We'll go 10 minutes in, and then we will switch gears and go to Ben Shapiro. Shout out to Mr. Shapiro. The Epstein files disappeared with a question mark. Ben covered over 17 minutes of this. We'll go 10 minutes in and see Ben Shapiro's take on what happened to the Epstein files. Were there ever any Epstein files? So we're going to see Ben Shapiro's take on that. And then I'm going to switch. Shout out to Liberty Bolt. I love his channel. Does great commentary and reactions. Check him out if you get a chance. He actually reacted to Candace Owens. So it will be like a three-way, right? It'll be me reacting to him reacting to Candace, right? So basically me and him watching Candace. And she covered the FBI and the DOJ are lying about the Epstein story. Okay, so it seems like Ben and Candace have conflicting ideas, right? Ben Shapiro thinks one thing, Candace thinks it's a complete lie. So we're going to take a look at both sides. And then we're going to switch gears and we are actually going to go to a clip from Live Now from Fox. I went and searched for this clip because I explicitly remember this clip. I mean, social media was going crazy this day over Donald Trump and Elon Musk exchanging words. And on this particular day, Elon Musk decided to say, here's the big bomb or something to that effect. The reason why the Epstein files haven't been released is because Donald Trump is in them. And then he goes, boom, have a great day, DJT. So I saw Candace asking this question. Liberty Bolt asked it, and Ben Shapiro's alluding to something totally different. But I couldn't help but wonder. You know, everyone's asking, where did they go? Where did they disappear to? Where did they walk off to? And I'm like, I have some theories, but I really don't want to share right now. So we're going to go back to that clip, which is over a month ago, where Elon Musk explicitly says Trump is in the Epstein files. And then from there, we're going to go to Donald Trump, still sticking with live now from Fox. Donald Trump reacts to Musk's new political party. Says he is sad to see Elon go off the rails. So President Trump had some things to say on Truth Social about Elon Musk and his current behavior that he's not pleased with. And then we'll end the live stream with the Christian clip from Cliff Buell. Alright guys, so first up on the menu, Bill O'Reilly. Truth about the bill, far left reaction, and President Trump's stance on migrant workers. We're going to go about 10 minutes in. Let's take a listen to what Mr. O'Reilly had to say. Let me fast forward this past his little musical intro.
Our weekend went fast.
It did.
Did it not? Hope you had a good time.
It did go
We had
fast.
a good one out here on Long Island, except for the chaos from an environmental thing. I'll tell you about in the final thought. It was beyond bizarre, and I think you'll find it interesting. But first, the talking points about the passage of the big bill, the tax and spend bill. So we always encourage you to watch this program with a pen and paper. So I'm going to throw a lot of stats at you. I'm going to do it slower than I usually. I don't read anything. This is all ad lib for me. But I usually talk at a clip that's pretty energetic. I'm going to slow it down because I want you to have this information. Because 80% of the press is absolutely lie right to your face. Man, when somebody lies to me, I don't know about you, but that's it.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Right? Unless they come and apologize, they're done. I'm not going to deal with liars. And the press is outrageous, and I'll prove it tonight. Okay. Big bill. So the President of the United States signed it into law July 4th, 6:43 p.m. East Coast time. Roll it.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what condition it's in.
In a few moments, we're going to make official the greatest victory yet when I sign the one big, beautiful bill. And before I start, I want to tell you that I've never seen people so happy in our country because of that.
Some people.
Yeah,
Some people. But most Americans have no blanket idea what's in the bill, and we are going to change that tonight. Okay. Let's just methodically go through it. So, within hours of the president signing the bill, a website called Politico is a liberal website, but it's a news website. Okay? Headlines this: Republicans just cut Medicaid. Will it cost them control of Congress? The headline is absolutely misleading, and misleading on purpose. It should say, Republicans just revised Medicaid. Didn't cut Medicaid. It revised it. But Politico doesn't want you to know that. It wants Democrats to regain control of Congress in 26, Politico does, and it wants to frighten you. It's what that website is in business to do. And there's no excuse for it. They know that. Okay? All right. So, the main thing about Medicaid is this. The country is $36 trillion in debt. Medicaid is a charitable entitlement. It's not like Social Security and Medicare, where you pay into that. So the contract is, we pay into it, and at the end of our lives, we get Medicare and Social Security checks, coverage. That's not Medicaid. Medicaid is, you're poor, you can't afford a doctor or a hospital, the state will pick up much of your medical expense, and the federal government reimburses the state. All right. It is estimated that 9 million fewer people will be covered by Medicaid over the next decade. 9 million will be off the roll. Why? Because this bill commands that anyone receiving Medicaid, able-bodied adult, no dependent children, has to look for work or volunteer at a charitable institution for 20 hours a week. Now, I work 60 hours. 20 hours, no heavy lift. But you have to do it. And if you don't do it, you're off the Medicaid roll.
I know 24-year-olds that don't work 40.
Also, you have
and
to
Bill
twice
works
a year
60.
report an accurate income figure to the federal government. So you can't game the system. So it's estimated that 9 million people will not do that. Who are those people? Drug addicts. Okay, they're living under a bridge somewhere, they're running around, they can't be bothered, they're high all the time, alcoholics, same situation, mentally ill. They don't know, they have no control of their lives, they don't know what this bill is, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, okay? And basically scofflaw layabouts. So they're not gonna do it, and they're gonna. That saves over 10 years $1.3 trillion. We need to save it. So the layabouts and the drug addicts, the alcoholics, they don't get it. They can still go to any hospital in the country's emergency room and get treated, that's the law. So the hospitals don't like this at all. They don't like any of this because they know more people are going to come in for free treatment and hospitals want to make money. Okay. I did not know this. 40 states out of 50 have no Medicaid regulations at all. You can be the worst drug addict in the world, you get your Medicaid payment. You don't have to do a thing. 40 out of 50. No more. Federal government is not going to reimburse unless that is on the books. And they're gonna be an apparatus to keep track of those people.
Yeah,
Where you go,
they're in the
what
check.
you see, where you're volunteering, whatever. Finally, there is a medical exemption. Now, you can't work, you can't look for work, whatever it may be, you're exempt. This is a good, solid bill for the country.
If you're anywhere here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Delaware, and you have an old, cracked, stained garage floor like this one, we can...
This. All right. Now, when you have 100 million Americans out of 340 million receiving some kind of government assistance, you got a welfare state. That leads to a decline of society. 100 million people receive some kind of government largesse. It's crazy. Now that is up 113% in 10 years. We are becoming a welfare state, thanks to the Democratic Party and the progressive philosophy. Give everybody anything they want. And you heard it, you hear it every blanking day. Okay? That is an astronomical rise. It's bankrupting the United States. And a lot of those people are gaming the system. You know what? I know it, everybody, the states, the 40 out of 50, they're gaming the system. Why should they care whether there's regulations? The feds reimburse. And then the states slap on taxes as high as 6% on all Medicaid payments. So the state gets money, they say to the federal government, you gotta reimburse us 6% because we're taxing it. And Trump goes, no, we're gonna cap it at 3.5. So the states, they're gonna lose 2.5% on all Medicaid payments that they tax. You see the game, you see the con? Of course, I don't like it. All right. Any questions? Bill@BillO'Reilly.com, Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. I think I run it down pretty effectively. If you don't understand it, I can't come to your house. Okay? But every stat I give you is in stone. We are becoming a welfare state. Now on the tax side. Okay? Tax cuts. There are no cuts. Not one cut. This is an extension of the 2017 Trump tax bill. The brackets stay the same.
Explain it, Bill.
Okay? The top bracket is, I think, 38%. Okay, very few people are in the top bracket, but that's the top bracket. 40% of American homes pay no income tax at all, not a dime to the feds. Almost half the country pays not $1. The other 60%, like you, people like me, who work our butts off, we're paying all the taxes. Okay? Now, they'll tell you the billionaires aren't paying taxes. Yeah, they are. Okay, but they have so much money, they don't even care. I don't have sympathy for billionaires. Let's be honest in our assessment here. So, at this point, the federal government takes in $5 trillion from us, we the taxpayers, $5 trillion. They spend $7 trillion. Government sends $7 trillion a year, so they're in a hole for $2 trillion every year. Which is why we have a $36 trillion debt and rising. We got to get that down to an even parity. That's why you're seeing all of these things. Trump administration believes by keeping the tax rates the same, that more people will prosper, will have more cash. More people will work, business will expand because there are some new business deductions in here. And they'll hire more people, so tax money will flow, more tax money. That's the theory. And it works. You look at the historical amount of money coming into the federal government. So, all of this tax breaks for the rich, billionaires, it's all a lie. It's cooked up by the progressive left and the Democratic Party because that's all they got. A lot of these progressives are socialists.
But if we don't
They don't want the
research,
government
we don't
to
know.
control the economy. They don't want a free market. You keep that in mind. And that's a memo. America is more dangerous than ever with violent crime on the rise. While you could rely on a firearm, using deadly force today can land you in court, costing you years and your life savings. Trying to prove you acted in self-defense. FBI data shows 99.9 of all fund NPR people. Are you looking for the most?
Alright, so I'm gonna stop that about right there, guys. I like Bill's take on this because I like the fact that he's able to help the common man. I said this yesterday about Charlie Kirk when he was breaking something down for us. Byron Donalds, I take that back. It was Byron Donalds who was actually explaining how the big beautiful bill would affect businesses and the common man that's just in the working class. And I thought he did a great job at helping the common man just understand it by just breaking it down in simple form. And I think that's what Bill O'Reilly did here. You know, he goes on record to say, listen, the top bracket is 38%. It caps out there. This is an extension. There's nothing happening, but the far left liberals, the extremists, are spinning it that way to where they're causing all this chaos, and that's why everyone's running around saying Trump is trying to get the rich the biggest tax break, and Trump doesn't care about anyone else. And it's like, no one. That's why I said in the background, if we don't do our research and if we don't go online and try to find these things out, then we simply do not know, and we will be misled by mainstream media. And that is what channels like mine exist for. Right, Brandon Lehman, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Black Perspective, like a Righteous Perspective. There's plenty of channels that like this that exist, and they talk about the daily news, and what they're trying to do is be as transparent with you guys that mainstream media won't be. So, you know, based on what Bill O'Reilly has said, we actually reacted to some of that clip a day or two ago, and I could just, you know, appreciate where it's at. You know, it's not the greatest thing, like he said. Some Americans are happy about it. It's not the greatest bill ever, and there will be some people that most certainly will have to deal with some things, but it was either this or a ridiculous tax spike. And I went on live to say, if you guys think a 3.2% tax break is nothing, then that goes to show your financial literacy is a little low, and you're gonna feel that 3.24% tax break over the course of 12 months, way more than you can imagine. All right, guys. So we're gonna switch gears, go over to Ben Shapiro. He covered the Epstein files disappeared with a question mark. Let's see what Ben Shapiro's take is on this.
A conspiracy debunked in many cases for these folks actually strengthens the broader great conspiracy theory, which is that there is a group of small elites who are running every aspect of it and they get away with everything. Or maybe facts and evidence should be necessary when you make outsized allegations. The most controversial story
No kidding.
of the day, the Epstein files. There are none, apparently. And again, a lot of people were shocked by this. I'm less shocked by this than some. The reason being, whenever there's this level of speculation without any sort of supporting evidence, it's not a shock to me when all that sort of falls apart. Michael Tracy, a journalist with whom I frequently disagree on a wide variety of issues. Michael Tracy has a thread on X where he explains that the key Epstein victim, who made the most sensational claims of being trafficked to powerful third-party individuals, Virginia Giuffre, was not even called by prosecutors as a witness in the 2021 Ghislaine Maxwell criminal trial because her credibility was in such tatters. The whole mythology around this case is largely based on the claims of one mentally unstable serial fabulist, Giuffre, who eventually had to admit in a civil settlement she had falsely accused Alan Dershowitz of depraved sexual crimes for nearly a decade. Nonetheless, she was able to eventually extract a few million pounds from Prince Andrew, the only other third-party individual she actually sued, despite naming a huge array of prominent individuals over the year with zero credible evidence, and despite having the dogged assistance of some of the most high-powered attorneys in the world. Prince Andrew, as Michael Tracy points out, was in the throes of a PR disaster after his infamous 2019 BBC interview. So opting for a settlement with royal family funds, rather than standing trial in the United States, was probably the sensible course of action from his perspective. This was the sole third-party settlement Giuffre ever successfully reached, despite claiming she was trafficked to an extraordinary cross-section of prominent individuals, including George Mitchell, Bill Richardson, Marvin Minsky, etc. None of the women who testified in the Maxwell criminal trial claimed they were trafficked to third parties. Giuffre, clearly in the grips of a worsening psychological crisis, died earlier this year. Unfortunately, that doesn't change the fact that so many of her wild, extravagant claims turned out to be totally baseless, despite serving as the evidentiary foundation for this blinkered Epstein mythology, which continues to persist despite an increasingly tenuous connection to any observable reality, having been egged on recently, playing to the fevered imaginations of right-wing social media. The entire Epstein saga, says Michael Tracy, has long since turned into an enormous cash cow, with even JP Morgan settling for $290 million simply because Epstein was a former client. The feeding frenzy litigation has been endless from every angle and is still ongoing. We're supposed to believe that not one of these rich and powerful American men, to whom everyone assumes Epstein must have trafficked scores of children, could have been successfully sued at any point in the past 10 plus years and coerced into a generous settlement, particularly in the context of Me Too mania, in which this affair gained such outsized cultural notoriety. Epstein himself was clearly a dirtbag and openly confessed to a pathological obsession with procuring teenage girls for himself. But the grander web of creepy conspiratorial intrigue that's enveloped this case and turned it into a weird, tantalizing, unfalsifiable mythology that won't go away is just an extension of the unhinged fabulism pioneered by the original accuser. That seems to me the most obvious answer to what the hell was going on here. And again, open questions are open. But at a certain point, if the FBI and the DOJ not run by Democrats, first of all, we should point out, Democrats running the FBI and the DOJ would have had a pretty large incentive, would they not, to have dumped an Epstein file on, say, Donald J. Trump. Would they not? I mean, we know for a fact that in 2016, the intelligence community coordinated to set up an entire op surrounding Donald Trump's supposed collusion with Russia. Do you think that under the auspices of Joseph R. Biden and the rest of the Biden administration, if they had one single iota of evidence, for example, that Jeffrey Epstein had been trafficking underage girls to Donald Trump, that wouldn't have been on the front page of every single newspaper in the world the next day? Like the day after Joe Biden was elected? Are we really to believe that? Seriously? It screams credulity. And as far as the accusations about these other men, again, these are very prominent, and Michael Tracy is making a good point. The burden of proof in a civil trial is much lower than the burden of proof in a criminal trial. All you have to do is win by preponderance of the evidence. And when you're talking about young girls, now young women, or middle-aged women, suing powerful older men, the possibility of a settlement is very high. So why weren't there any of those things? I mean, a lot of that was studiously avoided during all of the Epstein talk, which again, was spicy and interesting and fascinating, because conspiracies are usually spicy and interesting and fascinating. And of course, Epstein's death was suspicious. And by the way, the memes were funny. I mean, let's be real. The memes were funny of Hillary Clinton sneaking into jail at night to get Bill Clinton off scot-free because he was trafficking in girls, and Jeffrey Epstein was a weirdo with pictures of Bill Clinton in a dress, aside from being a sick sexual deviant who should have been arrested and executed a long time ago for his crimes against children. Okay, so put all of that aside. What does this demonstrate? Well, it demonstrates that once a conspiracy theory gets going, it becomes utterly unfalsifiable. Utterly unfalsifiable. And no matter how much evidence is provided, and even if the people you trust are put in charge, it's still even more unfalsifiable. So listen, it's justifiable for people like J.D. Vance, who was the vice presidential candidate at the time before the election, to call for the release of an Epstein list because, frankly, people thought there was an Epstein list. However, the evidence suggested there really was not an Epstein list if you were watching this case with any sort of eagle eye. This is J.D. Vance before the election.
With Theo.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
Release the list.
seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Okay, so the problem is that when you feed this, at a certain point, it's going to blow back on you when it turns out that you open